Hello, family, friends, and fans. I'm Fletcher Rhoden, and this is I'm Possible Track by Track, part of the Fletcher Rhoden Track by Track series, where every other month or so I go through my albums track by track. This is the 2024 pop album I'm Possible. It was recorded in January of 2024 and released in October of that same year. It was actually going to be released, it was written and recorded to be released in 2025, but I pushed up the release to clear my release schedule for new stuff. Anyway, um, Misremembering is one of the two songs. So it's one of the two songs that wasn't written in a day, along with the rest of them. 8 of these songs were written in one day. Actually, there were 9 songs written in one day, but one got held over for another project. And this song got slipped in. This had been part of Quadrilogy. I'd written it for just in a spree of recording without knowing what I was going to release exactly or in what format. It started off as one album, then it became sister albums, I guess, and then I was like, I should do blues too, and then songs have been pop and rock, and then old songs and songs just piled up all around. So the only way for me to make sense of all that was to release it as Quadrilogy. And I had written this new song called Misremembering and done it twice, once as a piano ballad and once as a guitar band, like an early 60s, like an early Beatles song, that even has the hand clapping like that. And, uh, and I did, around that time, I was embracing my Beatle nerd from when I was a kid. I was raised on the Beatles. The Beatles and Dylan were my musical guiding light for a while there. I'd go in and out of them. You get bored. Like when I was young, I had a Dylan period, and then I sort of backed off from that, and then rediscovered him later because he's so great that you can just go in and out of Dylan. He's got such a rich catalog that you can back off him for a while, and there's still going to be more to discover. So anyway, the Beatles for me were an on again, off again thing, but as a kid, I loved them. So at this time, I was just saying, I was embracing, I was about to do this album, I'm Possible, which embraced these traditional chord progressions and a more traditional way of doing things and not being so haughty or so esoteric or so eccentric, just going mainstream. That means the Beatles in a lot of ways. So I was just saying, you know what? What the heck? I remember when I was a kid, when I was 13, 14, even but beyond that, I thought they were the bee's knees. And I wanted to feel that excitement again. So with a lot of those Beatle-esque songs, there are lots of them on Quadrilogy, and there's lots of Beatle techniques where like I'd play a solo in thirds on 2 guitars, and not really so much of a fancy solo like Clapton style, but more of a George Harrison kind of a lyrical lyrical solo, and it had that Beatles sound, and I know how to write those songs and how they go and the format and everything. So I'd done that, and I did that with this song. But I had done that on a lot of those songs, and I decided to use the ballad. I didn't want to. I had so many songs. I was cutting things out of Quadrilogy right and left just to get it down to four albums, and that meant not repeating this thing. So I had this orphaned Beatle version of Misremembering, and I immediately went into recording I'm Possible, that record. I immediately went into it. I mean, I I released I was recording through December, and I released the thing in December, and then I started recording it in January. So it would have been like within 2 weeks. So the sound was right. I didn't want to throw it away, and I thought it was perfect. And it's a good version of that song. In fact, Misremembering This is the better version than the ballad, I think. And it's one of the songs on Impossible that like consistently gets downloaded. It pops up. It's one of the ones that pops up as like the hit or the single or the one that people remember the most. Interestingly, it wasn't even written for this album, but it's in the same flurry of activity, so they're pretty interchangeable almost. Almost, but also not, because there are things on Quadrilogy, War Machine, or things of that sort that are so big and complex, and it's three songs into one song suites, really, that would have been out of place. And there's lyrics running on, for example, that are too jaded. I was young and jaded when I wrote that, and I wanted Impossible to be optimistic and youthful instead of pessimistic and jaded like I was when I was young. So, anyway, that's the breakdown of this tune, Misremembering. It is about my. I don't want to litigate these things publicly, but at the time, my buddy Rob Harris and I sort of had a falling out. So it's one of those falling out songs, which wouldn't have been right for I'm Possible, other than the fact that musically it's just so there. It's the only song on the record that isn't happy and forward looking. It's the only song on it that's kind of dour and bitter, which is reasonable because it was recorded for another thing. Anyway, there you go. Listen to it below and tell me what you think. Does it sound like the Beatles' second album? And I mean, actually, wasn't it called that in the States? There was Meet the Beatles, and then there was the Beatles' second album. And I know that in the UK it was called something else. I don't know what it was called. Buy this record. I don't know. But so check it out. Let me know what you think. Put your comments below. I'll respond in kind. There's another analysis coming up of the next song on this record, 2024's I'm Possible. Download it, the whole album, wherever you like to download your favorite music. You can download mine. Then you can hear it in the car, or while you're jogging, or while you're doing brain surgery, or just about anything else. So look into it. Tune in again, too, to the next analysis. And until then, bye, Mary.